Robert, what's wrong? He said nothing, and she said, turn around. And his britches were split from one end to the other. Well, he climbed a tree and ripped them.
Okay, keep talking, Mama Kay, if you would. I'm trying to get a level, recording level.
Tell about that again.
Yeah, tell about the spitball again.
Well, he and this other fellow, they chewed up paper and hit the stove with their, just tin around it.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher said she's going to whip them, and she sent them out to get a switch. So Daddy, he cut all the way around, took his pocket knife, cut all the way around. And when he come back, she saw it. Mm-hmm. So she just laughed and said, you boys go home.
Okay, Mama King, first area that I think I want to deal with are the cast of characters from your childhood. Those include a number of people in this picture, and that's you right there. Yeah. Tell me about the other people in the picture, their names.
That's my brother, Ariel.
Okay, he is on
that's
the
my
far
older
left.
Sister, Esther.
She's right next to him.
And that's
the little girl is Irma.
Is next to me.
Yeah.
She's the oldest. I'm next, and Irma's next, and Ariel's next.
Okay.
Because that's my dad, and that's my mom.
Okay, what was your dad's name?
Robert.
Robert, and your mom's name?
Kate.
Tell me a little bit about Kate, because I don't know much about Kate.
Well, she was a Wilson.
Okay.
And her mother was a Garrett.
Yeah.
And she got married when she was 18.
Mm-hmm.
She died when she was 38.
Okay.
And
what was she like? What was her personality like? Was she a bubbly, effusive person?
Said I was just like her.
Yeah? Really? Wow.
She was a wonderful mother, but we sure did miss her when she passed away.
Yeah, and she passed away when you were, what, 13 or 14?
Yeah, I was 14.
Yeah.
I was in the 7th grade, and my older sister and me, we had to quit school because we had to take care of the little ones.
Right.
So we didn't get much education. My daddy taught us. I sat on his knee, and she stood behind him, how to spell. I could read and write before I went to school. So
Good. You're ahead of some of the people who graduate from school now, who can't even read and write when they graduate.
I know.
Okay. Well, if you look at the piece of paper there, and we can go through, what was your father like? I know he was very strict with the kids, but he was strict but fair, or was he a demanding tyrant? What was he like? He loved you guys, didn't he? Very much.
Yeah. You see, when my mother died, my grandmother, her mother wanted my dad to give us away. Give each one of us to somebody to raise. And my daddy said, over my dead body, I'm going to keep them all together. Well, his brother, his wife died. My mother died in January. His brother's wife died in April. He had 4 children. He gave them all away to different people.
And what year was that? About
1919.
1919?
Yeah.
And now your mom was a victim of the flu epidemic, right? Yeah.
Just about every woman that had the flu then died.
Yeah. That was before they discovered antibiotics.
No, they had no penicillin or sulfa drug, nothing like that then.
Yeah. Okay, well, as we look at, what was Grandpa Pulliam like? I don't know if we have a picture of him.
Well, he was a wonderful father. That's all I could say. When we was growing up and we was teenagers, we thought he was awful rough on us.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. I could see afterwards because the 3 oldest of us was girls.
Yeah.
And he protected us.
Yeah.
Imagine that didn't want us to ever get in any trouble.
Right. Well, Good for him. Now, is he the one who called you Jack because
Yeah.
he couldn't say Thelma?
Well, my grandfather, his dad, was
Yeah.
the one named me Jack.
Yeah, now is that Grandpa Pulliam?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the person I thought we were talking about.
He couldn't say Thelma, so he called me Jack.
Did anyone else call you Jack as a child?
Yeah, my uncles did.
Yeah. And what were their names?
Charles and Bud and Tommy and Uncle Dick, Uncle Roy, all of them they called me
Yeah.
Jack.
Now, was that Uncle Roy, the Uncle Roy we knew in Florida, or was that a different person?
What do you mean?
Well, do you remember Uncle Roy, the man who owned all the real estate in Fort Lauderdale?
No.
That-
it
Okay,
wasn't
well,
him.
no relation. I didn't think he was really a
Uh-uh.
relation, but... Well, what were your uncles like as people?
All of them had big families. All of us was poor people,
Yeah.
but we didn't know it.
Well, yeah, well... You're not measured. I don't think you can really measure wealth and money. Because, I mean, I'm not a financially wealthy person, but I'm wealthy by the friends I have and the family I have. And that's how I measure wealth.
Yeah. Well, money don't buy everything.
Money
It won't
doesn't buy
love.
much. Can be real convenient to have, but doesn't buy everything. What were Grandma and Grandpa Wilson like?
Well, Grandpa Wilson died at age 50. He got up and we used to keep a churn in front of the fireplace so the milk could turn, you could churn and make butter. But he died with a heart attack at age 50. And my grandmother never married. She lived to be 95
Yeah.
when she died. And all my uncles on my mother's side died early. Didn't any of them live to be old men? Because my mother was the only girl in the family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, why don't we move on a little bit and look at what was Aunt Esther like? I remember meeting Aunt Esther, but I was so tiny. Now you can see this is the information I've pulled out from some of your stuff. Could you read that?
Yeah. She was,
Older sister. How did the names Tilly-Eck and Tilly-Ump come
I
about?
don't know. I don't even know where they got them. But all of us had a nickname.
Yeah.
And of course, Randolph, his name, if they called him Blue, they still do.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember him?
I remember Blue, sure.
Yeah. It's
Sure.
a lot of fun.
Sure. Now, well, let's see. Well, talk a little bit about Aunt Esther. I've got some information there. What I'm trying to do is bring these people to life again through you.
Yeah.
So they'll be real interesting to read about. Let's see. Tell me the story of the red pepper instead of nutmeg in the custard pie.
Oh, that's all my sisters. Nearly every one of them lived with us.
Yeah.
But she was gonna make some egg custard. Instead of putting nutmeg in it, she grabbed the cayenne pepper.
She did
When
that
pies-
without looking
they were
at it, or did
beautiful
she do it
pies.
on
When they got
purpose?
done, nobody could eat them. It's too hot.
And I'll bet you never let her hear the end of that, did you?
Oh, I like this because Papa told Ray that Corinne paced the floor all night. He had some old bedroom shoes that's worn plumb out, and he held them up and showed them to her
Yeah.
fiance and said she might walk in the floor.
Yeah. Let me see here. How about Kren? Tell me about Kren. She was called Ski?
Yeah,
Why did they call her Ski?
I don't know. Well, when she went to work in the mill, you know, we was all raised in the country.
Sure.
We had outdoors toilets.
Sure.
So Papa told on her that she went in the bathroom and she pulled all the toilet paper off trying to find the corn. He told some terrible things on him, but she really loved it. All my sisters was crazy about him,
Yeah.
but he teased the life out of every one of them.
Well, that was Papa King. Let me see here. So I got a lot of info on here. How about Pecky? Pecky was a real teaser,
Yes,
real
she
outgoing.
was, and she
Tell me one of her better escapades.
she could tell some of the awfulest jokes you ever heard in your
Oh,
life.
yeah?
I don't remember any of them, but she was outgoing. And she had 2 children,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tommy and Judy.
But she liked to tell stories and bad jokes.
Yeah.
And Jay, your younger sister?
Yeah. When she got married, she didn't even weigh 100 pounds.
Really?
No. She was so skinny.
Yeah, I guess she just wouldn't eat. Yeah, and she had a thing about walking out
Yeah.
when she would be...
She had a temper. I don't know what kind of temper you'd call it, but if she got mad with you, she'd just walk somewhere.
Yeah.
And Papa King's been up to the forks of the road there where he lived and got her and brought her back to the house.
Oh, you'd just see her out there and get her. Yeah. The wandering one. Well, Blue's
He's a big tease, too.
yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'd put that in there.
Well, no, that's info. I don't know if that's going to be in there or not.
But he did that. And back then, you didn't say nothing like that.
Well, you just didn't do
From
that
your
in front of...
boyfriend, it embarrassed me.
I'll bet it did.
Oh, Lord, I tell that on him when I go up there every time.
Okay. Now, move over to here, and on this picture, it's a picture, and we're talking about the big ball-headed man there. That's Grandpa King.
That's Papa King.
Right. Right. Now, he owned the mill,
Yeah.
right?
That's Henry, his brother.
Right behind him in the
Martin,
picture?
his brother. That's Miriam, his sister. That's his mother.
Okay. And that's Dewey the dog on the left.
Yeah,
Right
there's
there.
a dog. I used to know that dog's name.
Dewey.
He-
That was Dewey,
Yeah,
wasn't
Dewey.
it? Yeah. Papa King barefoot. Now, what was Grandpa King like?
Well, he was teaser, too.
Yeah.
He liked to tease. That's where Daddy got his, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
she was a sweet person.
Yeah? What was she like?
You know, she'd bake cakes and pies on the weekend. Because
Mhm.
somebody was coming on Sunday. She never knew how many she was going to feed on Sunday.
Yeah.
'Cause everybody loved to come to her house.
Yeah.
She was a wonderful cook.
Yeah.
Because the way she cooked, she used a lot of homemade butter
Yeah.
and everything.
Well, now she also taught you and Esther how to crochet, didn't
Yeah.
she?
She did.
Yeah. And I got a little bit of a story here that when you were a child, she told your mother, if I ever move away from here, I'm taking Thelma with me. She really liked you a
She
lot,
finally
didn't
got
she?
me.
Yeah, yeah. I guess she did. Well, let's talk a little bit about Papa King. Uh, he was a shy, quiet, bashful boy as a child, was he? Yeah? And what was it like being pulled around in his red wagon when he was 6 and you were 5?
Well, I was 5, he was 4.
Okay.
They were good friends. My parents and his daddy's parents was good
Yeah.
friends. And they come over and spent the day. And we just got this little red wagon. So he pulled me around, and that's how long I've known him.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have any clue at that time that you'd end up marrying him 10 years later?
No. No, the first time I thought that he was good looking was when we went over there and Miss King was going to teach us to crochet.
Yeah.
And he was down at the tobacco barn, and we made like we didn't know the way up there to the house. And
Yeah.
so we asked him the way, and he said, I'll just walk with you up there and show you the way.
Yeah, now was he out doing something like grazing a cow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when we come back, I told my sister, I said, he's the guy I'm going to marry. Not dreaming that I ever would.
Yeah. Now,
So-
how old were you at that time?
I guess I was 15,
Yeah.
maybe 15 and a half. But,
It wasn't too long after that when you actually did marry him, though, was it?
This friend of mine gave a party at her grandfather's house and invited me, and she invited her. And his girlfriend was there. So when the party broke up, he said, can I walk you home? I said, what you going to do with Lucille? He said, don't matter. So he walked me home, and that started our courtship.
That's great. Well, I got a story here. When he was a boy, that he came home from school one day, keeping his backside out of view.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, he climbed a tree and tore his pants from the straddle all the way up the seam of the back, the belt.
Uh-huh. And then what happened when he got home?
Well, he backed up the steps, walked backwards up the steps, and his mother said, Robert, what's wrong? And he said nothing. So she said, turn around. So she saw his pants was ripped from one end to the other.
Now, about how old was he about then?
Well, he was walking to school 3 miles. I guess he was 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah. You have any other little stories of things he did?
Well,
As
he
a
swapped
kid?
his garters. You know, kids used to wear garters.
What, to
His
hold up
mother
their
knit
socks?
his socks.
Yeah.
And up above his knee, and he wore garters. And he traded them off for a slingshot.
Oh, yeah? What did your mom think about that?
Well, when he come home, his socks was all done. She said, Robert, where's your garters? And he said, first said he didn't know. She said, don't you lie to me. Then he told her he swapped them.
For
And
slingshot.
She had to make it some.
Yeah, did she take the slingshot away from him?
No, she didn't take it away from him.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I got to tell you this. She left Mom on the porch, and she told him to stay and watch her.
Yeah.
Well, he got off of the porch, and he got in his daddy's tobacco, plug tobacco,
Oh.
and he cut him a chew. But he got off of the porch. He had it in his jaw.
Yeah.
So he got off of the porch, and when his mother come back, she said, Robert, I told you to step on the porch with Mom, your sister. And he sort of looked up. She saw his jaw was...
Yeah.
So she said, what do you got in your mouth? And he said nothing. She went over and she got him by the chin. She said, open your mouth. And it was tobacco. Well, she whipped him. She said, I'm not whipping you because you had the tobacco in your mouth. But I'm whipping you because you lied to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's the reason right there. Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about Papa's brothers as a child, childhood memories. Like Martin, I remember meeting Uncle Martin when he had that stroke.
Yeah,
Martin and
yeah.
Bessie. Uh, what was Martin like as a child?
Well, he took after his dad too, 'cause he was real jokey.
Yeah.
And as you say, he did have a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
But his wife, Aunt Bessie, lived to be 96. She just died last year.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Henry was altogether different from any of them.
Yeah.
He was refined. Everything had to be just so
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah. Was he very outgoing?
Well, pretty much so. He
Yeah.
married a school teacher,
Yeah. And was her name Dora?
Aunt Dora, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he had 2 children, didn't he?
Yeah, two daughters,
Okay. Margaret and Anne. Is that their names?
Anne and Margaret.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, him and Aunt Dora was coming from church, and he had a heart attack and run into a tree.
Oh.
And it didn't hurt Aunt Dora too much.
Yeah.
But he died with a heart attack.
Oh, dear. Now, Papa had a little brother named Joseph, or was it a big brother who died of polio?
He had
at age
meningitis.
3? Meningitis? Okay.
There was no cure for it.
Yeah.
Then you don't hear of people having it now.
Well, yeah, you do a little bit, but they can control it. They can stop it from happening. Now, what was Myron like?
Well, she was spoiled rotten.
Spoiled rotten.
Because she was the only girl.
Yeah.
Her daddy gave her everything she wanted. Even he got her a car when she got old enough to drive.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to have license to drive. I drove when you didn't have to have a license.
Mm-hmm. Well, there weren't that many cars.
No, there weren't.
uh,
But she was a very sweet girl.
yeah, what was her...
She married Fred Hopkins.
Fred Hopkins, okay.
She had one daughter,
Teresa?
and he had surgery. And he walked down to the branch and said the water won't no more than 6 inches deep, and drowned himself. Just lay down and let the water...
Oh. Well, did anyone have any reason?
And
Any
then-
idea why?
Huh?
I mean, was he just depressed?
Depressed.
Yeah.
Because people didn't know people were depressed
Right.
those days. But then she married his cousin, I guess, in about 6 months afterwards.
Yeah, what was
That
his
had
name?
7 children.
What was his name?
Sanford,
Sanford.
yeah. And he died of cancer.
Yeah.
And he had it. He never would will the house to her. But in his will, he said she could live there as long as she lived.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the sons found her dead, sitting in a rocking chair.
What year was that? Or around when?
It was long before Papa died, so it must have been around 78 or 79.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, how about now you had, of course, your closest neighbors were the King family, right? And what were the neighbor kids? What were the children that you played with when you grew up?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, we played with colored kids.
Yeah.
And I remember the names. Ellen and Nellie was the girls.
Yeah.
And Jim and Bob was the...
Yeah. Is there also a Leonard in there, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought nothing about the color of our skin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were all poor people living in the country, and I mean, friends are friends.
Yeah, they were good neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't have much in the way of racism there?
You didn't even think nothing about them being black.
Yeah.
They didn't think nothing about us being white.
They're just human beings. Yeah. Well,
which it should be like that, because they're
Absolutely.
creatures of God anyway, same
Yeah.
as we are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, did you have any cousins that you played with too while you were a kid?
We didn't have any cousins who lived close by.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, let me move on here since we're still looking at your life as a child. Tell me a little bit about the farm. I was in southernmost Henry County, Virginia,
Yeah.
right on the North Carolina-Virginia border, right? And
Yeah.
in fact, Grandpa King's mill was across the state line, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Now, you had to cross a creek to get to the mill, didn't you?
Yeah. Had a foot log to walk.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that. Now, your family owned your farm, didn't they?
Yep.
Okay. And to raise cash, they grew tobacco?
Yeah, we raised
And
tobacco.
you also sold chicken and eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was to buy coffee and sugar and things like that.
Right.
Couldn't grow.
Right. Now, your crops that you grew that were just consumed on the farm, which we call subsistence crops, were grains and vegetables. Uh, and you also grew sugarcane
Yeah.
there?
To make molasses.
Yeah, and hay,
Yeah.
right? Clover and pea
Yeah.
hay. And did you have an orchard with fruit trees?
Yeah, we had an orchard.
Yeah, what did you
We had
grow?
peaches and apples and pears.
Okay.
And we canned and pickled all that
Okay.
stuff.
Now, the grains you grew were wheat, rye, and
Yeah.
corn. And vegetables included sweet potatoes, Irish or white potatoes, red beans, white beans, snap beans, black-eyed peas, tomatoes, cucumbers, cabbage, peas, onions, squash, beets, and turnips.
That's it.
That's about it, right? Okay.
We used to dry apples. I don't know if you ever had it or not.
Dried apples?
Dried apples.
Oh, yeah, I love dried apples.
And you cook them and mash them up. And you roll out your dough and make half-moon pies. Do you ever have any of those?
No, I haven't. Why were they called half-moon pies?
Well, because it would look like a half moon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They were good.
Yeah, I'll bet. Now, in the livestock you had on the farm, you had, of course, draft animals. You had a horse named Charlie, right?
Yeah. He ran
And-
away with me.
Oh,
The
with
horse
you on
would
it?
kick me.
Well, what did he do? Did he run away and find a convenient low-hanging branch to knock
No,
you off?
I was putting him in the stable, and he just turned around and kicked me.
Ooh.
Right on my right leg. And
Ow, I bet that hurt.
it did. And he kicked me down.
Mm.
And I couldn't hardly walk.
Where'd he go after he kicked you?
Went back to the house, from the stable to the house.
Now, who got him to take him back out? Because obviously you couldn't walk at that point.
My dad, he wanted to whip him, but I said, no, don't whip him.
Yeah.
But he run away with me. I come into, you could touch him on the rump, and
And he'd
he'd
fly.
run.
Yeah.
So my brother, we took him to the branch to water him, and we was coming up the hill, and had no saddle on him.
Mm-hmm. You were
My
riding
brother hit him on
bareback.
the rump, and that's when.
Oh, your brother did. Oh, okay. Now, which brother was this?
Aaron.
Aaron?
Yeah.
I'll bet you were really mad at Aaron, weren't you? Yeah. Well, you also had two mules named Bob and George.
Right.
Right?
George he balked.
George would balk, and Bob wouldn't balk as much.
No,
Yeah.
but if you got on him and straddled him, he'd go to a tree and try to rub your legs off.
That was Bob, right? Yeah, tricky old Bob. Now, you also had dairy cows and sheep.
Yeah.
Did the cows have any names?
Sheep and goats,
Sheeps and goats, okay.
pigs,
Yeah. Did the cows have names?
huh?
Did the cows have names?
Oh yeah, Daisy and Flossie.
Yeah. You have two of them?
Yeah.
Okay. And did the sheep have a name?
No, they didn't have none.
Yeah,
But we used to take in little lambs. They were so humble.
yeah,
And hold them up in our arms, and they'll just smuggle up to you.
yeah. Wow. Now the sheep. Did you guys? How many sheep did you have?
I have no idea, but a
Yeah.
great flock of them.
Did you use them to shear them and get their wool?
My daddy would shear them, and then he also sold them lamb, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
And we couldn't stand to see him kill one because they
Yeah.
hung it up by the hind legs
Yeah.
and cut
Cut
the
their throat.
first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, just to drain the blood.
Drain the blood out. Sure. Sure. Now the pigs. You grew. How many pigs did you have?
Oh, I don't know. We had a whole bunch of them,
Yeah.
and that was my job, was to feed them.
Uh huh. Did any of your brothers ever push you into the walla? You guys ever have to mess around like that?
But I think a little pig is cute. I know one time we was over at my daddy's, and your Uncle Bob was, I guess he's 3 years old, and my sister Irma and Troy was over there. Well, this pig, we hadn't fed him nothing but buttermilk all his life,
Mm-hmm.
and he had the curliest tail you ever saw. And Irma and Troy was sitting there, and Bob said, "I wouldn't have a tail like that pig's got for no money."
Oh my God, what a pig
That
tail.
embarrassed them.
Yeah, and you would slaughter the pigs,
Yeah,
right?
my dad would.
Yeah. And you had chickens.
Yep,
And you had ducks
and we had geese.
and geese.
We never did raise turkeys.
Yeah, and it says here you had guinea hens too.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now the ducks, did you pluck those for
Yeah.
down and feathers?
That's what we made feather beds and feather pillows out of,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which you don't see no more.
No. They're coming back.
They are?
Sure. Sure, and then a lot of the outdoor clothing, I mean winter outdoor clothing used in mountain climbing and stuff like that, is insulated with feathers and down. Because it's very efficient. It insulates,
Well, you
keeps
could sleep
warm.
in a feather bed. You didn't need much cover.
Yeah, yeah. And you sold your eggs and chickens to buy food staples and supplies, things like baking soda and coffee and sugar and salt, and you produced all the other food on the farm, right? Yeah. And you sold tobacco for clothing, fertilizer, taxes, etc., keeping the farm going. Okay. Let me see here. Well, tell me the story about you being on top of the hay wagon that tipped over. How did that happen?
Well, we had to rake up the hay,
Yeah,
and we loaded on. We had standards on the wagon,
yeah.
and we loaded it, and we put too much on it. And just as you're driving towards the feed barn, there was a little knoll and a blackberry patch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of slanting over that way. So when we got there, the hay fell off, and I fell off with it down in the briar patch.
I'll bet that hurt. Were people laughing?
So we had a mess to clean up and had to carry the hay to the barn.
I'll bet that hurt.
It did hurt. I was tough, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now, were your brothers around
No,
there? Was it your dad?
just my older sister.
Oh, just you two? Now, was she laughing at you?
Well, all of them laughed at me. Even my daddy laughed at me.
Well, tell me that so I can get an idea of the picture of the farm. It's about 125 acres.
Yeah.
What was it like? How was it laid out when you get on the farm from where the farmhouse was, where your house was? If you looked out your front door, what did you see?
It's the road, dirt road.
Dirt road in
Yeah.
front, and that was the dirt road that for your other neighbors used too?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the road to the mill.
Right. Okay. And did you have any trees in your front yard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had lots of trees.
Yeah.
We went, was you all with us when we went up there and that colored man lived there? It was the biggest mess I ever saw.
Yeah.
Clouds and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, when you looked out, say if you were on your front porch and you had the dirt road out in front, you looked off to your left. What did you see?
Well, our orchard was on the right.
Okay.
And
The
the
orchard.
feed barn was out on the left.
Okay.
But back.
Yeah, back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what was behind if you looked out your back door of the house?
Well, our neighbors lived back down, I don't know
A
how.
long ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably couldn't see it in the sun.
No,
Yeah.
for the trees.
Yeah. Was the ground real hilly or was it
Yeah,
flat?
it was hilly and rocky.
Hilly and rocky.
It was hard to work with a hoe.
Yeah. Yeah. How many acres of the farm were planted in tobacco? Was that most of the farm?
Probably 5. I know we had 10 acres of wheat.
Yeah.
It was probably 5 acres of tobacco. We didn't raise too much tobacco there
Yeah.
because we had, after my daddy bought another farm, we rented it and he raised tobacco.
Yeah.
But that's a 13-month-in-a-year job.
Yeah.
Now they got machines to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had to work so hard, but now they got machines that'll string in tobacco. They got primers, and you don't sort it. We had to sit in the cold barn and sort tobacco
Mhm.
and tie it up. And now they just throw it all in a pile and take it to the warehouse and sell it.
Yeah.
It's so easy now.
Yeah. Was that in sorting it? How did you sort tobacco? Were you sorting it to grade it?
Yeah,
Or-
grading's what you call it.
Right. And what made one tobacco plant a better tobacco plant than another?
Well, you had a best grade, a second grade, and then the green tips. If some of them didn't cure and
Yeah.
cured up green, that is the green tips.
Yeah.
And you had the trash slugs. That was the bottom part of the tobacco,
Yeah.
was the trash slug.
Now tell him what you mean by cured.
Yeah. What do you mean by cured?
Well, you string your tobacco and put it on the tobacco stick.
Yeah.
And then you have tip holes in the barn.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 flues, one on each side, and you have to fire them flues, and it takes you about 3 days and 3 nights to cure it.
Yeah.
Now they got oil, you don't have to stay with the barn.
Right. Right. I bet. Did it smell pretty bad when you were doing that?
Well, not when it smelled bad when it was green, but not when it got ready to be cured. It smelled like, cured tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Like your cigarettes.
But I was against.
Yeah.
I had to work so hard in tobacco. I was against tobacco, any kind. I don't care what.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just because you had to work with it. You hated it. Not knowing that it killed you. Of course, when you were growing up there, did anyone really know that tobacco would kill you? Yeah.
Just another one.
Yeah.
Well, women didn't smoke then. If a woman smoked, I remember this pair gal smoked cigarettes. If a woman smoked, she was called a flapper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the 1920s that came out of. Let me see. tell me about ice cream socials.
Oh, them ice cream suppers was something else.
Yeah? What did you guys do?
They had all kinds of cakes, and they made homemade ice cream,
Yeah.
all kinds. And you made it in a syrup bucket. The syrup bucket had a tight lid on it.
Syrup bucket for...
You bought syrup by the gallon.
Oh, okay.
That
Your
lid just
molasses
fit
bucket?
tight
Yeah.
down on it.
Yeah.
Well, you took it to handle, and you put the ice around it in a water bucket,
Yeah.
froze it to the gut. But
Sit
one
there
time-
and turned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
One time, nobody had a freezer. One time, they had one at Mr. Price's, ice cream supper. And Daddy and Alan Price.
Now,
his brother-
Daddy is Papa King or
Yeah.
your father?
No, it's Papa King. They froze, and everybody was helping themselves, so they got a gallon, went off down in the woods and ate it all, a whole gallon, the two of them.
Papa King did that. Yeah, I'll bet. How old was he at that time?
Well, we was married.
Okay.
He was 20-something.
He was doing that then, too. Let's see. And you had square dancing too, didn't
Oh,
you?
yeah.
And you kind of cleared being a big room in someone's house and
Yeah,
clear the furniture
they
out.
called them barn dances. Some of them, if they had good floors in the barns,
Yeah,
the feed barns, they'd have a square dance in the feed barn.
yeah.
Be 12 couples on the floor.
Wow, and you dance all night?
I've danced a hole in my shoes, a brand new pair one time.
Huh. Wow. Of course, your music, you weren't dancing to records, you were dancing to musicians,
Yeah,
right?
the musician was a violin, a banjo, and a guitar.
Yeah. Is there a mandolin?
Huh?
Is there a mandolin?
Yeah, mandolin,
Yeah.
those four.
Okay. Were there any other kind of instruments? Like I know you were real close to the Appalachian area. Did you ever have any dulcimers or those kind of instruments? Kind of mountain music instruments? I was hillbilly stuff,
Say,
right?
one time there was a man come that could play the jug.
Yeah. What was that like? What's a jug sound like?
Well, like a bumblebee in there trying to get out.
Yeah, I hadn't heard one of those. Now, when you had those things, you'd put the kids down on pallets in another room to sleep, right? Yeah. Well, there weren't that many people. Well, tell me about tell me a story of you getting married with Papa King. I mean, what happened? You guys snuck off and did it, didn't you?
We ran away.
Yeah? Why'd you run away?
We ran away and we went to Wentworth, got our license, come back to Eden, got married. It was Leaksville then.
Yeah.
And went to got the train, went to Danville.
Yeah. What made you run away?
Because our parents didn't approve of us getting married so young.
Oh, okay. And how old were you?
16,
Yeah, and he was
Papa's 17.
17? Well, how did they
And
react?
everybody said it would never last.
Yeah.
Well, we were married 68 years. Oh, Papa.
Well, so much for that idea. And what was it like when you were first married? Where did you live?
What do you mean?
Well, where did you live? What did you have a house? Did you have a?
Didn't Grandpa come after you or something?
Yeah, he come over to Papa's.
Yeah. Was he mad?
No.
Weren't they upset because they didn't think you'd have sense enough to get married and you're just off living together?
I don't know. But we did have sense enough to get married.
Well, wasn't there some story about why why you got married then? Because Daddy was going to join the service if you didn't marry him or something?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I remember that baby from yesteryear. That would be good to go in there. Tell me
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Tell me about that. Was Papa King threatening to run off to the service, to run off to
He
war
was
if he
going
didn't
to
marry?
join the army or anything, any branch of service he could get in.
Yeah. Well, was that during World War One? No, it was a little after World War
Yeah.
One, wasn't it?
But they was glad to see us. My family was glad to see us, and Papa King's family was glad to see us come back.
Yeah. How long were you gone?
Huh?
How long were you gone?
About a week and a half, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. What were you doing in Danville?
Papa
Honeymoon.
King got a job.
Yeah,
We was living in a hotel.
yeah.
What did it cost tonight? You remember?
$1, I think.
That's how
And
I.
you could get a good meal for 75 cents.
Yeah.
And Papa King had $100 when we got married, and I forgot how much I had.
He sold his